still learn technique, but you'll have to work a little bit harder for those connections,
Mm.
which is why respect the artist, working with mentors like Electra,
Come
working with
through.
building a community around you of
Mhm.
artists. That's how you do it if you're a self-taught artist. And like you mentioned, how you stress confidence. I was so not confident when I joined RTA. I was probably the most
Mm.
non-confident artist. And to have like an Electra look at your work and say, this is beautiful. Your work is valuable. Why are you playing with yourself? And you're like, like, really? Yeah, so that all helps you
Appreciate
with
that.
the education part. You can learn technique, but
Mm.
learning confidence as an artist,
Mm. Mm.
confidence is
Yeah.
a whole different thing. That can't be taught. It has to be caught. And I
Mm.
definitely caught that by being a part of Respect the Artist.
What?
Yeah.
Excuse me. I forgot to mention this earlier, but I have the pen here because I'm actually jotting down when you drop some gems. Like
uh,
so because that I'm like, okay, that was pretty serious. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. It has to be caught, you said? What the heck? What? That hit me. I needed to hear that. Artists, creatives, and designers. I'm your host, Electra, and welcome to Dream Aloud Art, where we have educating, inspiring, and motivating conversations with creatives from around the world. Show some love and support by subscribing, liking this video, and uplift another creative by sharing this video. Let's tune in to another amazing conversation. Let's go. Artists, creatives, and designers, welcome to Dream Aloud Art on YouTube. And today, like all of our episodes, we have an extremely special guest. But I'm going to refresh. Some of y'all may have seen her before, and you already knowing her has brought you to the video. But of course, she is a new artist to some of our viewers. So we have a very legendary artist who is all things art. So that includes body art, visual art, performance, and fine art. Y'all give a warm welcome to the Respect the Artist member, Shay Chenette. Right here, right now. It's on. It's on. All right. So y'all have been, and for those who do know, or at least you're familiar with Shay, you've seen the posts, you've seen the reels, you've seen whatever you've seen on social media. You maybe even seen some, previous interviews, articles, things like that. But this may be for some of you the first time you have watched an interview, a sit down, and just see Shay in conversation mode, and to dive a little bit deeper than just the visuals. Because as I teach artists, it's a blessing that you're creating something, you're creating the masterpiece. But you take your supporters levels deeper when you can speak on it, when you're telling your story, when you're sharing your story, your experiences. And so we're going to do that today. Yes, I think so. Welcome, Shay.
Oh my God. That intro, like she's talking about me? Okay, thank you. The one and only Electra Dream Out Loud. Thank you so much. You're an inspiration, and I'm really, really grateful to be on this interview. Thank you.
Received. It is my pleasure all day, every day. So of course there's a lot that we can discuss. We can go on and on and on because I'm very interested in learning more about you, just as an individual. Of course, we can say as an artist, but artist, individual, you just being a unique being. We can dive in, but we're going to start with your early years or the early times of when you started to engage more in your creativity. What did that look like? And I say earlier, sometimes for some of us, it's like, oh, back when I was a kid, but it doesn't always start when you're a child. But I will ask you, what were the earliest or earlier experiences where you started to explore this creativity of yours? And you're like, you know what? I feel like I have something here. I feel like I have a strong interest in this. What did that look like for you?
Wow. So that's a big question. I feel like every other artist, most of us grew up in art, or we're just always creative artistically in tune. That was definitely me. I was the kid sketching everyone, sketching buildings, things like
Mm,
that. While other
mm,
kids were playing, I'm the one sketching and doodling and drawing. That was always a big part of my childhood.
mm,
The last 4 to 5 years, I started becoming a more intentional and focused artist. That's, I
mm.
think, is that around when I started joining RTA? I was
Yeah,
looking
yeah, it
for,
wasn't too much later than that because RTA, respect the artists for those who are just learning about it, but um, came into fruition early 2019. Yeah, yeah. So it's been 4 years, 4.5 years. So yeah.
wow. That's a long time.
Right,
Wow.
right.
Wow. And look at what you've built in 4 years. But okay, we'll get to that.
What? What?
Yeah,
Right.
that's when I started getting intentional and really studying my craft, learning techniques, learning oil,
Mm,
investing in becoming an intentional artist. And that changed everything.
mm, mm. So what do you feel and I'm not sure if you could put this into words. I know sometimes for myself it's a challenge to put it into words as to what what was the fuel behind the intention for you? Because, we can I meet a lot of artists that like to say that they're intentional, but it somehow tanks early on in, and I say that gently because I'm just trying to get to the period in the sentence, but I am saying it gently because sometimes that means that it was not necessarily something that they could be consistent and carry out. That's not a knock. It's just to say that truth, if it's really true for you, it's something I feel that you can be consistent with. So what do you believe was the feel behind saying, well, now I'm intentional. This is something that I, feel strongly about or whatever, where I believe that I can be consistent. What did that look like as far as the fuel for the intention?
Mm, okay. So for me, and I think for any artist, any creative watching it, it all boils down to what is your why? What is your
Mhm.
purpose
Come on
and
now.
goal for creating art? Like, is it
Well,
just to get into galleries, or can you still be consistent if you're not in a gallery, if you're not showing? Is it just to make money? Can you be consistent if you're not able to sell a single piece in a month? So for me, and all of those were my goals at one point, and I realized they were not sustainable.
yeah.
In this line of work, it's not always going to happen. So my why had to become inspiration. Can
Mm,
I create work that inspires someone else or inspires myself?
come on.
And with that being my drive and focus, all the other pieces fall into place. The galleries fall into place, the sales, the shows, all that falls into place if, with my intention being inspiration. Can I
Mm.
inspire others, make them feel something, think something? Then I've done my job.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Come on. All of that, all because it's so like that's pure facts. That's pure facts. And something I've put a lot of emphasis on is having confidence, and the breakdown of the word confidence. It actually, whether that's the dictionary and the etymology of the word, means with faith. You have to actually believe in something. There's got to be a burning desire there in order for it to be sustainable. Like anything. So yeah, that could be a whole that could be a whole nother podcast. What I usually say, like that could be a whole podcast. Okay, yeah, thank you for that breakdown, and thank you on behalf of some of the viewers that are watching. Y'all, make sure you take a moment out right now to bookmark those links in the description, because we have Shay's Instagram and her website in the description below, and take a moment to subscribe and like the video and share it with somebody, most definitely. All right, so let's segue a little into education and share with our viewers what that looked like for you, whether a lot of what you do has been self-taught, has been YouTube University, has been working with mentors. How did you hone in on your craft and become educated, become a specialist in Shay Chenette?
Wow. Okay, so this is a big one, and I feel like it's always a debate in the art world of being self-taught versus highly educated. I will say this, I am a completely self-taught artist as far as technique, understanding painting, YouTube University,
Ooh.
watching other artists, learning, attempting, delving into mixed media, playing with different mediums to see
Mm,
what fit me, then
right.
finding what fit me and studying that technique. But
Mm,
I gotta say, when it comes to that part, that's all stuff that you can be taught, whether you teach yourself or you go and pay and get a formal education in it. Both are very valuable. Like
yeah.
getting a formal education also gets you really good connections into the art world. Being self-taught, you can still learn technique, but you'll have to work a little bit harder for those connections,
Mm.
which is why respect the artist, working with mentors like Electra,
Come
working with
through.
building a community around you of artists. That's how you do it if you're a self-taught artist. And like you mentioned, how you stress confidence. I was so not confident when I joined RTA. I was probably the most
Mm.
non-confident artist. And to have like an Electra look at your work and say, this is beautiful. Your work is valuable. Why are you playing with yourself? And you're like, like, really? Yeah, so that all helps you
Appreciate
with
that.
the education part. You can learn technique, but
Mm,
learning confidence as an artist,
mm, mm.
confidence
Yeah.
is a whole different thing. That can't be taught. It has to be caught. And I
Mm.
definitely caught that by being a part of Respect the Artist.
So what?
Yeah.
Excuse me. I forgot to mention this earlier, but I have the pen here because I'm actually jotting down when you drop some gems. Like
uh,
so you know, because that I'm like, okay, that was pretty serious. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. It has to be caught, you said? What the heck? What? That hit me. I needed to hear that. I love that. And so of course, and much appreciation for capitalizing about respect the artist, and letting our viewers know how much that has influenced you, impacted you in your journey. What else has been something that you can use as a go-to or a method of staying open for self-improvement um, and continuously growing to be more and more confident in your craft?
mm, that's a hard one. There is a quote, one of my good friends, Art by the Shell, she gives me this quote, and she said, the most, oh, it's like the most confident artist makes the most noise, but has the least amount of skill. Whereas the least confident artist could be more quiet and their work speaks the loudest.
Mm, mm, mm.
So trust that even when you don't feel confident, you're still producing your dreams. You're still producing your why. And it's
Mm.
still there, regardless
Yes. Yeah, most definitely.
of that moment.
Mm. Regardless of how you feel about that moment, you said, or how you feel at that moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So your confidence can waver. That has nothing to do with your technique, your skill, and making sure you still execute. You can do
Mm,
it afraid. You can do it
mm.
terrified. Just do it.
What are we saying? Yes, yes, all of that. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. Thank you for that. What has, and of course, being confident, and the moments where you're not feeling very confident, that may be because and I'm speaking of myself, I'm speaking of all of us, just as people. The test of confidence can come if you feel as though there is a challenge of your worth. There's something that is coming up that's challenging your own value. What has that looked like for you? What have been some of the challenges just in this capacity that has made you have a moment of question, have a moment of doubt? And how did you overcome that? And because we know
Yeah.
you're human, you may not have overcome it like 100%. You know what I'm saying? So there are there perhaps challenges that you've overcome, or some that are like, I've had this come up and hey, this is something I'm working on? Either or. We diving
Listen,
deep. We diving deep. We diving deep.
yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here for it because this being a full-time artist, even if you're not full-time and that's not your primary source of income, full-time artist, you will be challenged, baby. You will be challenged and you will
Mm.
have to decide your own breaking point. So, like, the biggest challenge I think for most full-time artists, especially if you're self-taught, is straight up finances. How
Mm.
do you live this life, finance your dream, produce good art, and not be a starving full-time artist? So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
of course, that's been my biggest challenge. And how did I get through it? That's when I learned. Remember, you said on my intro, art of everything, and how I do all these different arts. That's why, because I started listening to the community and opportunities around me. Okay, you want me to do a mural? I didn't really do murals before Mexico. I may have like put, Mickey Mouse on my daughter's wall just to be fun, but
Right,
this
right.
is what the community was asking for, and I
Ooh.
had a decision. Am I going to stick into the box, or am I going to stick to my portraits and my oil paint that I've studied and what I'm used to? Or am I going to do this afraid and figure
Mm.
it out?
Mm.
And right now I'm here in Mexico. My client is upstairs and I'm working on my sixth mural job here and the biggest
Ooh.
one to date.
Oh my
So
goodness. Shout out to
how do you,
you. I
thank
love
you.
that. And congratulations on top of congratulations, for all things that will either be mentioned on this YouTube / podcast, because it is a podcast also. And to those things that, we may not have a moment to dive into. So all congratulations in all of those areas. I want to highlight what you just said, about doing something afraid. And especially working with artists. And I find myself, even when I'm talking to family and friends who don't label themselves as an artist, it's like the same kind of guidance applies. What I'm about to segue into, doing it afraid. So the thing about it is that, and I hope some of y'all catch this. What Shay is talking about is doing it. Okay. If you're afraid or you feel some doubt, you're fearful in the moment, that will start to dwindle because you've made the decision to take the action. So all it is like, if you're looking at your fear as this, if this was a scale, like a thermostat or something, your fear level may be here, but you took the action, which brings that fear level down a notch. Okay. You start to get more knowledgeable of painting murals. You do some research. Okay. You made a couple errors, but you learn. So now it goes down even more. Like, you don't just make the decision and then the fear completely goes away. It's a process, and you have to take actions. You have to make a decision, and that fear and doubt will start to lessen and decrease. But you can't just expect that it'll go from here to zero and you are fearless after the first step, so it's a game that some of us subconsciously are playing, due to whatever we've experienced, but it's a game. So yeah, fear doesn't just deplete after the first step. It's a process. It's a process. And you gain that confidence as the fear goes down and the confidence goes up, and so I love that. I absolutely love that. And you are, as Shay just shared, you are going to have moments, and that's all they are, just fleeting moments where you feel you feel like, is this a challenge for my worth here? Like, what are we saying? And I think that's really miraculous, for you, Shay, to be doing what you're doing now within the time frame that you just shared, for when you really started being intentional and leaning into it. That's remarkable. And we have a lot of Respect the Artist members who have been sharing their journeys, and it's just like, wow, like so much has occurred in the past few years. So I love that. I love that. Okay, so something else, and some of the questions that I'm asking are very popular amongst the artists, especially visual artist community. What has support looked like for you? Not every artist had both parents and siblings who were all artists, and everybody around them did art and they just thrived in art. But what has support looked like for you? And just all aspects of support. Great support, no support, little support. What has that looked like for you in your journey?
Mm. Okay, so that's a big one. Um, 'Cause sometimes you may not get support, and sometimes you can really call in, pray for, ask for a whole
Mm,
community of support. And I've had both. I've had
mm.
no support. I've had people like, oh, you're really about to quit your job as a whole nurse, very comfortable, living in the suburbs,
What?
and move to Mexico.
Woo, that's big. And you want to talk about big? That's yeah.
So you may not always have support. It goes back to your why. Like everything goes back to your why, your technique, your confidence, your overcoming challenges. It all goes to your why. And
Mm,
but be encouraged though, because just like life has ebbs and flows, even when you don't have support, there'll be times when you have immense support where the community speaks up for you, the people that have been inspired by your art, share your name, give you other jobs, give you opportunity, open to it, collaborate. Oh my God, I wish artists will understand how important and powerful it is to collaborate. That's how you build a community of support.
yes. Yes. That's good. That's good. Tell us a little bit more about collaboration. And why or when did you find like value in that? Did you lean into it and then, opportunities, or excuse me, did you lean into the idea of collaboration and become intentional with connecting with other artists or creatives? Or was there another way that you discovered, what? I think there's something really, a lot of value in collaboration, because I don't feel, well, let's speak to the artists that really don't understand the value in that. It's like you hear about it, you see a little bit about it on socials, but you don't really know like what's the point. So yeah, share a little about collaborations with us.
Yes, okay. Collaborating is so valuable. One, you learn from someone else. Two, you can share audiences. And then three, you
Mm,
can share ideas and
mm,
make a greater impact together. So
mm.
for me personally, I first saw the value in collaborating. If y'all go to my Instagram, go all the way to the bottom, there's a post I made of this eye art called In Stars.
We're gonna go over the IG, but go ahead.
That one painting was shared by another collective called Black Artist Space. Just from that one little collaboration is what put me on the map more so as a fine artist. And that taught me the value of collaborating and building a community around your message. It was because the message of the art was important. So with that being said,
Mm.
I watched that. I saw it. That piece went viral for about 2 days, and it broke down my cell phone. Like I was on the way to the airport, and literally I couldn't get directions to the airport because my phone was pinging. Like it went
Oh
viral,
my
and I wasn't ready.
goodness.
Yeah,
Which
I wasn't
which
prepared.
which one? I
All the
went all the
way.
way to the beginning.
Look, the eyes over there to the right. Yes,
Oh my
yes.
goodness. Yes.
So,
Wow.
but
All right.
that
So for the
moment,
go
mhm,
ahead.
that moment taught me the importance and value in collaborating. So, artists have a business plan. I built collaborations into my business strategy and
Mm,
target and make your targeting of collaborations make sense. Find somebody of equal or slightly greater value, see what value you can bring to them, let them bring value to you, then work together to get your message out. Yeah. That
wow.
that
Okay.
piece would not have went viral if someone didn't see a message and want to share it. And that's just a small collaboration. It gets deeper. You can really, really collaborating is a huge part of my business plan.
Oh,
I'll say that.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And so for those tuning in on the podcast, click the links in the description so you can follow and support Shay and give her compliments of like her latest hairstyle or her dance moves, all the things that she does on social media. But yeah, make sure that you go back to that post. That you like that post, what we were just describing. You have to go all the way to the beginning. You'll see a set of eyes and check that post out. That is wonderful. Oh my goodness. And yeah, thank you for sharing that about the power of collaboration and being the I word, intentional, just being intentional. And so I feel like I have to say this. So some of our viewers may perceive some of the things that we speak about, especially when they hear words like business plan, like, like they start to tremble, they start to talk about how that ain't me and all this. And it's like, it's the energy that you're giving it, and it's also the ideas of what you think business looks like. And you think you have to morph and go into that. And it's like, no, you don't have to become a different, someone else's idea of business. You have to create your own idea of business. But I'd also like to highlight the I word of being intentional. So being intentional, I feel, and please share your feedback on this, Shay. Being intentional is not like you have to have like a checklist of how you're supposed to think. Okay. Like sometimes when we talk about being intentional, being mindful, awareness, all of this kind of stuff, it's like, oh, it just sounds like a bunch of rocket science. And it starts to be like, well, you're just giving me a bunch of tasks and things that I have to remember. It's like, that's not the point of some of those things, is not to confuse you or to disturb your life. It's meant to bring peace to your life, So when we say like, and being intentional, simply how you were talking about collaborations, I feel that it's just thinking a little bit more before taking that particular action, or just feeling a little bit more into it before taking that particular action, like say to collaborate with someone. So if we're talking about collaborations, an artist could be listening and they're like, you know what, I'm going to like, make this a project, and I'm going to like go down a list and I'm going to like spam people because I'm like, I see value in it. Shay says there's value. Electra says there's value. So let me go ahead and dive into this. Well, if you're being intentional, you may want to first pause and look at how you have your art business or your life in general set up. And then ask, is this something that you need to do now? Right. So you see what I'm saying? So being intentional, and again, I'm open to your feedback. I'd love to hear your feedback. It's not as though it's a science project. Like you have to, you're like, oh, before I do this, I have to think. It's just think a little bit more, breathe a little bit more, take a pause before you do something. So I'm open to, again, to hear what you have to say about being intentional as a creative.
Absolutely. And that was some great points you just dropped. And I forget, like, I think about when I first started and people would say, oh, you need a business plan. I'm like, what is the how? Like, But even if you don't have to go out and be official and make a whole business plan, you can collaborate. You have someone in your family that does business or owns a business. Hey, I'll give you a free painting. Can you show me how to do a business plan? Can you help me with it? I love barter. They love barter in Mexico too. I love that. So
nice.
Value. Bring someone value, and the universe is going to bring that value back to you. So if you don't know how to do a business plan, ask for help. Or just making your goals. Again, what's your why? Do you want to make sales? That's fine. How are you going to do it? If you don't know how, ask for help. So yeah, it's all knowing what you want, but don't get scared by words like business plan and all of that. Little bit at a time. Just start with the plan. Start with the purpose. Start with an intention. Start there.
Come on. And it's really any and every, this is what I've shared in consultations, one-on-ones with artists. There's deception that may occur in our minds, right? Where And I usually, especially working with artists, and when I have the one-on-ones in person with a client, right, I will draw it out. I will draw it out. So the certain things I'm talking about, I will just do a quick sketch so it registers. So we'll have this idea sometimes that these 18 things need to be done, but we are forgetting that we ourselves can only do one thing at a time. Right. So connecting to what you were just saying about the smaller steps, or at least one step at a time, if you will, but that's all that you can possibly do. I don't care how many things you think need to be done. You can only do one thing at a time. The gem, if you will, is to be as present as you can with that thing that you're, thinking of, or say if you're working on a business plan, be as present with it, because you have to get your mind in alignment with the fact that you can only take one action at a time. It's when you're taking the one action, but you're thinking of 18 things, where it feels very frustrating, because you're trying to believe that you're a fictional character who can divvy yourself up into 18 different, you can't do that. So since you have this single body, you're a single being in that sense, be focused and be present, and be as aware and present as you can with the one thing that you're doing. And I feel like that really, for artists, it can translate easily when they're in their creative stride. They may not be thinking of a lot of other things, and that's why you're so damn good. Like, let's just get rid of that's because you're present with it. You're not all over, you're present with it. So if you can become more present and intentional, as Shay is sharing, with anything that you're doing, right? So even if you're working on the business plan, even if you were talking about bartering and things like that, there's a sense of ease, a sense of being at peace with that. It doesn't feel hard to do. It doesn't feel like this challenge. Is finding that place of peace where you're in stride. It just makes even your physical work. If you're an artist, and there's a Respect the Artist member who works with wood and everything. So even if you're physically working with something, the fact that you're present with it, you do it with ease. There's peace in that. So I love that. I don't know if you've already given consultations, but you should, because that's some good stuff, and yeah, I feel like it sounds very obvious when I say this, but you are reflected in your work. Shay, you're reflected in the murals that you're doing, no matter what the subject is, no matter what the presentation is. Your energy is reflected in it, and that's why it's being received very well, if I may say so. Yeah.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Definitely. We're okay. So as you can see, we can go down the rabbit hole very easily, because this is something else we're doing with ease. Okay. We're having this conversation.
The vibe.
Yes, absolutely. So what we are going to do, we are going to look at Shay's Instagram, and I'm going to ask a few questions. Just y'all got to see her face. So if you're listening on the podcast, make sure you take some time to actually watch the YouTube interview. And of course, so you can see her work and the work that we're discussing. So I'm going to first pull up the ones that really intrigued me. And I was like, word? And maybe I'm not, tracking every single thing that you're doing. But when it first popped up on my feed, it of course was new to me. And so I will say the body painting, body art. I had to scroll up to make sure I'm using your verbiage, but the body art was like, word? I didn't know. I didn't get the memo. Yeah. So, and I want to pull one up that's just photos of the individual. Oh, forget it. I'm going to use this one because I like this one. So I'm going to like that one. Live like. All right. So once again, podcasters, in order to, get a better understanding of what we're discussing, make sure you go to the YouTube video. So tell us about body art, what got you into it? Because there may be artists that believe that, okay, well, I have this particular skill, I can paint, so I should be able to paint, on bodies. I should be able to paint on any and everything that exists, right? Number one, would you say it's very transferable to work with were you working with oil mainly? Paint before? Okay.
Yeah.
Is it transferable from saying, oh, I work with oil and then now I can work on bodies? So answering that for us. And then of course, just telling us how that opportunity came to you and how did you connect with these models or those that needed it?
Okay, great question. And I love that video too. And I'll tell you why to answer the second one. The first question, is it transferable to go from traditional oil painting to painting on someone's live body? No, ma'am. Different technique, different medium, different product. Nope.
I believe
Can it be
I
done?
believe it.
Absolutely, it can be done. Yeah. You go, you educate yourself, you learn, figure it out. And it goes back to that why, and it goes back to making sure you can financially support yourself as a full-time artist. Am I going to sit here and just do oil paintings? Or am I going to get out here and paint folks, paint faces at parties to make sure I'm sustaining? And that's your choice as an artist. You may not want to, and that's okay. Do what works for you.
Yes.
So that's to answer the first question. Second question, I was painting my own face just for fun. Like sometimes you get bored and I'm like, I need a creative release. And
I love it. I love that.
That turned into kids' parties. And then I see something though. When you paint someone and they become art, their confidence goes to a level 10. When in that particular shoot, I see positivity, loving the skin you're in, loving your body, your stretch marks. I got plenty. Your chubby, your dents, your hips, your curves, and turning it into art and being confident and loving yourself. So this is a mommy of 4. She is a businesswoman who travels internationally, and she felt good to love the skin she's in and become living, walking art. So that's why the body art movement has become a thing for me.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's so good. And it's so true. And yes, thank you for sharing that. It is so absolutely true what you had said about having art on you and then they become that art. They're embodying something. And this is what, goodness, it's coming through so strong because this is what it's so closely links with my teaching, if you will. It's that the art being put on you, it's not the art that made it come out necessarily. It's been in there the whole time. It's been in there. You just have to unleash it. And so it's this what do you call it? Lord, I just forgot what it's called, but it's like, I'm trying to think of like medication and how placebo. There you go. It's a placebo. It's where you believe that, not to say that that the art on you didn't encourage it to come out, right? Because it definitely played a part. It played a part, no doubt, but it's to understand that confidence is in you at all times, like at all times, at every, like, it's just waiting for whenever you want to have it come out, So, and another example I use is like, I usually won't talk, like, not necessarily about body art in that sense, but the example I use is that putting on a wig. So some people will put a wig on and then it's like, it's one they love and then they have a whole personality come out, right? So it's just like, or, when you get your hair done and like I used to get braids and all kinds of stuff. And it's just like, oh, I'm feeling myself. It's like that energy is hanging out in you. Like it's just hanging out. But I really love what you had shared about your model that you worked with. I absolutely love that and how it is very linked to unleashing that confidence. That's so good. I haven't heard anyone speak about body art in that way. And that's wonderful, especially if it really lights you up. You know, it lights you up and there's an impact happening in that. I love that. That's fantastic. We got to talk about, let's pull up the next one because, okay, this one is it's not an art piece, but it is a focus on Shay as an artist. And it is this, wait, if we can get to, it's a reels. All right. So what, tell us about this ice, is it ice bath? Let me like that one. Yes, this ice bath situation. What's happening here? Explain yourself, Shay. Explain yourself.
Yes. I mean,
An
look,
ice
I was
bath, y'all.
nervous. I'm like, Lord, which post is she pulling up? No.
I know it's all over your face. I'm just like, is she like thinking you're gonna pull like something odd up? But yes, please share.
Oh my God. I think most of the audience can tell by now this change, this move to Mexico was not just for my art, but it was a life change to get out of that 9 to 5, that pressure, the different things that were going on that was just causing me daily stress as a parent, as an employee. And so part of this move to Mexico has also been very spiritual, like finding your tone, your self-control, your self-love, your self-care. That's what my brand is about because that's what my life is about. So this was an experience where when I tell you mind over matter is an understatement, you had to get into this ice bath. It was at a place here, a lodge here, very spiritual experience. And I didn't think it would be. It's like you see athletes hop into ice after they get injured or something.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm not doing that. That looks cold. I'll be shivering for the next hour. But watching other people do it, my partner went with me and encouraged me to do it. I had no intentions, but the long story short, it was a moment to where it's like you versus you. And you get into that ice cold water and everything in your body is screaming, don't do it. It hurts. Like I feel like my bones turned into glass and we're going to break. And about 30 seconds in, I got up to get out. I was like, I'm not doing this.
Right. Oh my goodness. The 30
cold,
seconds already feels like too long. You know,
they
in my
want
head,
you to stay in 2 minutes. They say 2 minutes minimum to get the most effects. It's therapeutic for your body. It rejuvenates your system on a physical level, but on a mental, spiritual level, it's very different. So the lady you saw in the video came and called me. My partner called me, and I was like, you know what, God, if this is an experience, I don't want to miss it. So I calmed my brain, started doing affirmations, and I ended up staying in for 10 minutes. And I had never done it before. Shocked myself.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Woo! Oh my goodness. I applaud you. Shoot. What?
But we all can do it. It's the power of your mind, because I literally wasn't cold anymore. I couldn't feel it. And it will show you how powerful you are just by your mind and your thoughts. So try it. Let me know if you try it.
Yeah, I would love to. I feel that's, you know, in the not so distant future of exploring more ways to go deeper in spirituality, you know. Oh, definitely. Most definitely. Yeah. But since we're on that topic, because if some of our viewers and listeners have been listening to other episodes of my podcast specifically, I do shine a pretty big light on spirituality. I don't go down the rabbit hole of verbiage and, you know, religion and all of that. I don't go there because that's not the focus. The focus isn't about text and information. The focus is on connecting and going deeper and understanding that there's more than just your physical body that plays a part in your existence, in your experience. So you were talking about the decompressing, the letting go, you know, perhaps of energies and thoughts and patterns and that you've been carrying from the 9 to 5 and some stressors from that life, if you will, and being a parent and all of that too. So at what point, or what was perhaps maybe the strongest point that you realize, you know what, I really do need to take better care of myself, spirit, mind, body, soul, all of that, not just, not just, an occasional trip to go get, your toes done. Like we're talking about, you just as a whole being. What would you say is the more pivotal moment, situation, time where you're like, this is imperative?
Whew, okay, I'll keep this short as I can because I don't want to cry.
We got to do a part two? We got to do a part two.
We might. That spiritual aspect is so deep, it's so ingrained, and I love when you speak on it. As artists, we're a little bit more creative and we're in tune with that world a little bit stronger sometimes too. So I love that you're speaking on it because we identify with it, we feel it. So
I'm glad.
I'll keep it short, and I don't want to throw any shade to anyone who's in the US or a different country. It's not about the country. Every country has issues. I traded one set of issues for a different set of issues that I can handle. That's it. As far as moving from the US to Mexico. For me, the defining moment that I knew I needed to change my life was right after COVID, inflation, prices of rent going up. My rent went up like $600 for a townhome in suburbs. As working as a nurse, having a cush, comfortable job, we weren't hurting for anything, but it just took that food going up, groceries going up. And then there was yet another mass event at schools in Texas that kept happening. As a divorced mom who has the kids most of the time, sending my kids to school in that environment, it was like literally stressing me out. It was literally putting pressure on me. So those things all together at one time made me feel like something's got to give, because these things seem small and we've normalized them so much and we live with them every day. But those things are like drops of rain just dripping at you, tearing away at you, stressing you out. In the back of your mind, you take your kids to school. Are they safe? Are they going to be okay? So for me, those were the moments that made me say, yeah, it's time to do something totally different. And being an Aries, I'm like, well, let's do everything different. Did a whole 180.
And being an Aries, I love it. Absolutely.
We go hard.
Right. Yes.
Whatever looks different for you. It doesn't have to be drastic, like moving out of the country, just changing up what stresses you out and getting away from that for a while. That's it.
And that's facts about what may appear drastic, and that can look a lot of different ways. I mean, it may not necessarily be walking away from a job or resigning. Like, I resigned from my professional corporate job and went full time. That's that. To some people that may be easy. To me, that felt extremely drastic. It could, so it depends on your walk, your experience, but I'd like to just put light on the change. There has to be, from a spiritual aspect, I believe there has to be something that comes in that is before your thought. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes we'll have this thought, and that single thought, making a single decision, can be very pivotal in our life, and we literally know that's not, it wasn't something we came up with. You know what I'm saying? Like this, it's just like when the artist creates something, and then after you're done, or you come back and look at the work tomorrow morning, or like, the next morning, I was saying like tomorrow morning, you look at it and you're like, dang, I did that. Like I actually did that. Like how many times has that happened to us? And so allowing that energy, the energy of creativity, but just allowing that energy to really set in, taking that time to be at peace, be still, sit, pray, meditate, whatever. But that stillness, that's when stuff will come in. That's whether you're in the shower, it's being at a place of peace too. It's not just the physical stillness. It's the stillness of your being, the stillness, the being at peace. Then things will come to you, And so.
Oh, you preaching today. Okay.
Yeah, come on, all day, every day now.
Let the church say amen.
Yeah, amen. Yes. Yes, because it's so true. And the out of the things, and I really appreciate you sharing that. And out of the things, Shay, that I've taught artists, and I've taught a lot of different things, tips, business tips, marketing, prices, all of that. But the one thing that's truer than anything, and the verbiage I use is confidence. Like, again, I don't go like superbly deep, but it's knowing there's something much more powerful that's lingering in you that you may not have allowed yourself to believe or tap into. But yeah, that spiritual aspect, so necessary. And sometimes that drastic change, you probably, like, you made some drastic changes, no doubt. But is it safe to say that from the more pivotal drastic changes, that it became easier to make more drastic changes without it feeling like dropping a heavy weight? Or, what did that look like? It's like, okay, I made this really huge change, but then other changes or other decisions that you made, did it still feel like this is heavy also?
Wow. Okay, that's a deep question. I
That's the
don't.
only way to do it. It's the only way to do it, Shay. We just
I
go
love it.
deep.
I'm here for the deep dives. Let's go. For me personally, the
Mhm.
drastic change only allowed me to put myself in an environment, in a space where I could deal with my real issues and work on the real
Mm,
spiritual things that needed to change. So
mm,
moving across the country is not what healed me. Not having to worry about mass events, not having to worry about working a 9 to 5 so hard for someone else. That gave me time to think and actually deal with my real issues, deal with
mm,
whatever rejection issues, abandonment issues. We can go real deep, but
mm.
putting yourself in a space where you can heal and heal safely without those regular things. So it may not be a drastic move for everyone. You may just need to cut off a negative influence so that you
Mm.
have time to think and feel. Or you may just maybe not quit your job. You may need to go ahead and ask for that raise or say,
Yeah.
hey, you're giving me too much work. I want to do this, like, and find your voice to put
Yes.
yourself in that place where you can heal. So is it easier to make drastic changes? No, at least not for me. It's scary every time, but I've just learned to do stuff afraid. No,
See,
it's
but
not easier.
I love, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to catch what you just said. You literally just said that you still do it afraid. And I feel like that is the easier. It has become easier for you because you're aware, you see the fear, and that's part of the process. And so you do it afraid. So, I mean, so it's like, see, before,
Okay.
come on now. This is like,
Okay.
this is, it's a platform most definitely geared toward artists, but it goes deeper because we know your life doesn't just stop and start as the title of artist. Y'all are beings, y'all are individuals, y'all are unique. Everyone's uniquely made, but it's meant to go deeper. Like, this is the going deeper is what keeps us together as a community. That's what interlinks us. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you literally just gave your own formula. Like, this is the formula. And every time you have that formula, Shay, it can't be hard because that's part of the formula. It's like, okay, cool. I'm going to do this, going to be afraid, going to do it anyway. It is what it is. Like, yeah, I'm going to think about it for about a week. I'm going to go down the rabbit hole of what people might say, self-judgment. Okay, cool. That's part of the problem. Okay, great. Once that, you do it anyway. Once you're like, you know what? It's all good. And I love that. That's what makes you a heroine in so many people's eyes, And so I admire that. I admire what you are doing. Like, anything from the ice bath to the body art. It's like, you know what, man. And that's why I say much respect, right? Respect the artists all day, every day. So, couple things we're going to do before we wrap it up. Because you, I know, right? Yeah, yes, absolutely. I
Did you
received
write
all.
that down? Because you just dropped a jewel for me. I hope you wrote that down.
Come on, look, come on. And there's
That
look,
was fire.
and there's plenty more. But see,
Yeah.
we do. I also want to say this too, because it's important for me to level the playing field. And I say this humbly because when I have these conversations, I'm a student for you. Like it's not like about who's here. I am a student to you. I ask the questions because I also want to know. I'll ask questions about, things other artists have asked, but the point is the question is coming from me to you. So I'm a student. You know what I'm saying? Like you're teaching me. When I drop a gem, that gem it's meant for me too. Like I've noticed that. I see it happens all the time, all the time. Like trust it. I may not realize it today, but like at least 2 to 3 days later, something I mentioned will come up and I'll ask myself, am I implementing that in my life? It happens all the time. All the time. So I am humble enough to understand like this is we're teaching each other, we're learning from each other, And so, but a couple things, yeah, but this is good. I like these conversations, right? That's why we have them. But a couple things. First of all, we're going to do the word game. And then of course, you're going to give some, shout outs to people that you just want to show some love to. But the word game, to refresh some of my viewers that have seen it before, but you may need a refresher, into those that have no clue what I'm talking about, is that it's like a word ping pong. So I'm going to say a word, and then you're going to say the first word that comes to you from when I say it. So example, if I say paint and you say brush, then I have to say the first word that comes to me when you say brush. And so we'll go back and forth, and the way that this will the way that this will end, air quotes, is if you or I cannot think of a word for 3 seconds or so, like we can't even think of a word, then it's done. All right. So here we go. All right. Intention.
Set.
You said sex? What'd you say?
I said set. Like set your intention.
Set.
What type of podcast is this?
This is why I love this game, right? Because then if you did say sex, then I was like, oh dang, like now how do I respond to that one? In a rated PG way, like how can I respond? Okay, so set, off,
On.
light,
Source.
God,
Everywhere.
things,
Don't matter. One word. Okay.
what'd you say?
Yeah, I said don't matter, but it has to be one word, right?
No, I didn't say it. No, I did say a word, but that's okay. You said don't matter. You said don't matter.
Yeah. Things don't matter.
Got you. Places.
Mexico.
Love.
Bounce back kid.
I don't know now. I think now, I guess the game is over because I can't even think. Like a moment. I love that. You are hilarious. So yeah, I was really just, what stopped me was the facial expression you made after saying bounce back in, like you did like this wink. And I'm over here like, now I can't think. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your smile and your wink. Because now I don't even know what to say.
Ew, I'm so ew. Ugh.
Okay, that was fun. Thank you so much, Shay Chenette. Y'all, once again, if you're watching the YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click the links and support Shay in her continuous journey with the ice baths, with the body art, with all of the performance art and everything. And if you're listening on the podcast, make sure that you're actually following the podcast. And again, links are in the description. Shay, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to, show some love to in this moment?
Absolutely. And thank you. Thank you for that opportunity to shout someone else out. I love that.
Mm.
Of course, RTA and the one and only Dream Out Loud.
Hey
But
now.
look, y'all already know. Y'all already know. And I will say real quick, thank you. You've been a huge impact in my life, like more than you will probably ever know. And that's okay.
Thank
Gotta
you.
tell you one day. But thank you
I
because you taught
appreciate
me
it.
how to put some respect on my name as an
Mm,
artist. So
received.
but I have to give a huge shout out to a good friend of mine slash artist with so much skin in the game, art by V Shell. Don't
Mm,
get her name wrong. She is a 60-year-old artist who has traveled the world, the US doing art. Vichelle, art by the shell. But
mm.
she helped teach me a lot on my spiritual journey, especially because she took art therapy and took it to another level. And that's what she teaches and gives to the community. Art by the shell, I love you. You're
I
my
love that.
soul
Ooh,
Twinkie, and I appreciate you.
that's
Yeah. So I had to
beautiful.
shout her out.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much, Shay. We're going to hang out a couple of minutes as we close it out. But we're going to say peace, and bye to y'all. So bye, y'all. We'll see y'all on the next video. Holler. Creatives, it has been both a pleasure and an honor to have you sit in on our conversation today. I'll see you soon. RTA stands for Respect the Artist. Love y'all.